Good afternoon and welcome to the discussion forum on financing REDD+, Closing the Gap, which is being co-hosted by the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, IUCN, and the UN REDD program, which, as you may know, is a collaboration between the UN Environment Program, the UN Development Program, and FAO. My name is Tim Christoffersen. I coordinate the activities of UNEP on forests and climate change and within the UN REDD program. And we're delighted to have a very knowledgeable panel of speakers with us this afternoon who will be helping us to grapple with the challenging yet vital question of the REDD+ finance gap. We have with us on the panel, and I'll be saying a little bit more on each of them as I give them the word. We are very happy to have with us on the panel Dr. Naoko Ishii, who is the CEO and chairperson of the Global Environment Facility, Ambassador Hans Bratska, the Director General and Special Envoy for Climate Change, the Norwegian Ministry of the Environment, Mr. Don Kanak from the Harvard Law School Program on International Financial Systems, and he's also the chairman of Prudential Corporation Asia. Mr. Thierry Novacek is a Product Environment Manager at Airbus. And last but certainly not least, Pak Heru Prasetyo, who is a member of the National REDD+ Task Force of the President of Indonesia, and we'll be looking forward to various contributions from these panelists. Now move to one of our speakers who represents a private sector company that is already doing something. Thierry Novacek is the Product Environment Manager at Airbus. He was appointed to that position in November 2011, and in that role, Thierry is in charge of environmental issues and policies impacting Airbus products, as well as representing Airbus in various aerospace international panels and bodies. In his previous role, he was responsible for the Airbus Environment Reduction Plan, a project setting strong objectives to reduce the impact of Airbus manufacturing by 2020. And I used to work for IUCN, so I also know that Airbus is playing a large role in the Bonn challenge to restore 150 million hectares of degraded land. So I assume you also could have been sitting next door on the panel with Bianca Jagger, but you chose to be here with us instead, so we highly appreciate that. Please, Thierry, the floor is yours.
So first of all, I'm warmly thanks IUCN and UNEP for inviting Airbus today. I totally agree with Donald. I know nothing about tree, and I need to explain you why Airbus is today in a forest day. So first of all, you have to know that the industry as a whole, meaning the aircraft manufacturer, but the airline, the airport, and the air navigation service provider has come together to define a very ambitious roadmap, setting the first objective is to have a carbon neutral growth by 2020 to cap net the emission, the CO2 emission, and then by 2050 to have the emission based on 2005. And regarding the first stage, we assess that 60 to 70% of the efficiency will come from new technology and the development of new aircraft, and it's what we do in Airbus, and we are confident we will do it. But you have other levers in this roadmap. You have the air traffic management, and you have the development of alternative fuel for aviation. So why alternative fuel for aviation? Is because when you think about new energy for aviation, the other type of energy, such as hydrogen or electricity, are not mature enough. So in a short to mid-term, if you cannot change the engine, you change the fuel. And it's what we do since 2008. We're deeply involved in the certification process, in flight test, and within our customer, we have performed more than 1,500 commercial flights with passenger on board, with biofuel. And now today we have a leadership and a coordination role in the creation of what we call alternative fuel value chain that gather the farmer, the refinery, and the end customer, the airline. We assess the sustainability and the life cycle assessment within an independent university, And we fulfill all the criteria from the Roundtable for Sustainable Biofuel, which is a worldwide recognized body in this matter. So in fact, our ambition is to now be catalyzed solution for alternative fuel in a commercial quantity without competing with land, water, and food resources. So coming back to, as you mentioned, IUCN, in fact, we are doing everything we can to tackle the 2% of CO2 emission from the aviation industry. Nevertheless, we also support those who are tackling the over 98%, including the 20% or 50% of deforestation. So that's why in 2011, since 2011, we are supporting the Bond Challenge, and we have created the project Plant a Pledge in partnership with IUCN, because we believe it's a practical manner to tackle emission and to address other issues such as social and economy. And from this relationship with IUCN, in fact, we discover that some of our value chain could be accountable for land restoration. And I can give you later on some example. So we really identify here a synergy between two different objectives. Yeah? We can provide technical expertise, commercial knowledge, and IUCN provides us the sustainable and landscape restoration and a wider environmental framework. But personally, I don't know anything about RED, you know. So hopefully they are there. So now we are really developing this win-win opportunity, and we are about to launch another project in partnership with IUCN and also in partnership with our sister company Astrium that provides satellite capability for identification and monitoring. We are so about to develop the feasibility study to develop on a larger scale a biofuel for aviation in the framework of landscape restoration in Africa and in North America. So in a nutshell, let's say Airbus is believe its landscape restoration is a very promising and a practical way to achieve our industry goals. That's why we are here.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and we'll be coming back to some of the points that Thierry raised in the discussion, I'm sure. I would now like, for being brief also, and for highlighting some very important points, like to give the chance also to Thierry to give us some reflections as we move towards closing of our session before I give the floor to Naoko, and then Jane Feehan will give us a short rundown of some of the key points. Thierry.
Well, thank you. It's very open ground you give me, but I really like what you say, the long-term investment, and I think we perfectly know what it is in Airbus, because the life cycle of our product is about 40 years, including the developments, and so I can give you a practical example, as I said before, of what we do in terms of value chain and the value chain that we believe could be accountable for landscape restoration. For example, in Romania, we developed a value chain on very polluted land, which was a polluted land by heavy industry in the last century. And here, nothing can grow, and if you hit anything there, you just die, okay? So the concept here is to grow camelina, but literally pumping the pollution, and then during the refinery process, you segregate the heavy metal from the biofuel, okay? And this is, we believe, accountable for landscape restoration, and we are working with IUCN to assess this. Another example is in Brazil. We have a very big project here in partnership with TAM, the Brazilian airline. The intention is to produce a quarter of the annual fuel consumption of TAM. Here we are using degraded land due to overcattling. And within a rotation system, we are growing jatropha, which is a small tree, and using the fruit of the jatropha to produce the biofuel. And so it's an additional income for the farmer, leads to biofuel production, and also it's a landscape restoration. So this is the practical manner we are tackling the issue. Yeah.